What's up guys, welcome back to CardSpot. My name is Ethan and today it is really early and my wife's still asleep, so I'm trying to be quiet, but we have a new ban list, finally. Okay, so official post from the Yugioh TCG X account. These are the changes. So Forbidden, Link Karibo, Baron de Fleur, Borreload Savage Dragon, and Summon Limit. So, right, let's break down what this means. So I have to eat humble pie because a friend of mine was really confident that they would ban Link Karibo, and I didn't think so, but I'm wrong. So what that means is that's pretty much an indirect hit to the Snake Eye Fire deck, because obviously that's a lot of level 1s and that's a key part of their combo. So it's an indirect hit because obviously the deck is still quite new and it's quite expensive, so I can see Konami not wanting to do anything drastic like ban Flamberge or something like that a lot of people were talking about, so this kind of makes sense. It sucks for a lot of other decks that also utilize Link Karibo, but it is, you know, it's a Link 1 and it's still a decent Link 1 as well. You know, quick effect, tag a level 1 monster out, which for the Snake Eye deck was pretty strong. Next we have Baron de Fleur. Now, and Borreload Savage. I'm going to kind of talk about these in tandem. What this kind of looks like to me is Konami's tightening up on easy inboard negates. And kind of what I mean by easy is like realistically, both of these monsters require 2 cards. I guess you could argue Borreload requires a link in your graveyard, but it's a 2-card free negate effectively, and I think, well, Baron particularly is kind of another indirect hit to the Snake Eye Fire deck because they play Jet Synchron, which would allow them to get into Baron. But I think generally this is just, yeah, they're trying to tighten up on those really oppressive end boards that can end on Baron plus Borreload, or even individually just strong negates for effectively 2 cards. Appaloosa, by definition, should require like 4 monsters, but obviously that's changed up with how you link climb. But yeah, I think Appaloosa is a little bit harder to get out, so it's a bit more fair. And then obviously Appaloosa only negates monster effects as well, so where Baron and Borreload can prevent a Raigeki or a Lightning Storm or whatever, Appaloosa can't do that. So I think what we potentially could see with this is more of those cards being played, but also more of Nibiru being played, because if you can't, I'll make Baron on the 5th summon, well, you're very vulnerable to Nibiru now, so that's going to be really interesting. Summon Limit is another really interesting one. I mean, this is just a floodgate card, and I think, yeah, it's curious to me because obviously we know that Konami is kind of restricting the floodgates with how they've limited all of the other, Rivalry Goes and TC Boo, all those ones. So this kind of goes in line with that. I think they've gone one step further and just outright banned it because it was seeing a lot of play, this format particularly. But yeah, it's interesting because I know that like Fire was playing it and people were playing it against Fire. So yeah, I think it was kind of a necessary evil. So it'll be interesting to see how the format develops without it. I should point out as well, there's different effective dates. So for North and Latin America, it's the 15th. For the EU, Mexico, Africa, and Oceania, which is where I am, it's the 22nd. So we get an extra week to prepare for this list, aka an extra week to put up with full power Fire. Not that Link Karibo is much of a hit, but let's see what else has happened. So limited, Arch Nemesis Protoss, Tidal, Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls, Thunder Dragon, Colossus, my boy, Magispector Unicorn, Corinne, Chicken Game, and Anti-Spell Fragrance. So let's work our way through the list. So Protoss at 1. I don't remember off the top of my head how many copies of Protoss Sword Soul played. I think it was just 1. But yeah, they could probably use a boost, right? And obviously now they can't make Baron. So I feel like it's not so oppressive where you Baron Protoss. I mean, Protoss is still really good. But yeah, okay. I'm I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. I think this just gives Sword Soul a bit of a boost, which is kind of nice. Title, I think everyone could see coming. Obviously, they've bought Blaster back, then they bought Redox back, so it's Title's turn now. And I mean, they're all, I think, at 3 in Master Duel and not really doing anything, so this makes sense. Particularly with the upcoming booster set. The one after Legacy of the one after Infinite Forbidden is called something of the Abyss, and so I could see there being water support in there, which makes sense to have Title back. Kind of like how having Blaster back helps with like the Tempai Dragons and things like that, and I'm sure we'll see Redox being used in something as well. Thunder Dragon Colossus, my boy. So I really enjoy the Thunder Dragon deck. I've been playing with it a lot on Master Duel. If you saw last week's deck profile video, you saw I took Thunder Dragons to locals. Colossus is a huge get for the deck because it even though it's at 1, you know, you can recycle it quite easily, and it just gives the deck that little bit extra, hey, no searching for your opponent. It's really strong. It's going to be interesting to see if it gets splashed into other decks via like a small Thunder package, because it does just require a Thunder monster on your field as long as you've used a Thunder effect in your hand. So I think, you know, it could be quite splashable, but we'll just have to see. But I am very excited to have my Colossus back. I have my Ultimate Rare one waiting to come out, so that is going straight in the Thunder Dragon deck. Magispector Unicorn Corinne. I'm actually surprised this didn't happen on the last list, because obviously we got Magispector support in Phantom Nightmare. I have never really played Magispector. I wasn't playing the game when Corinne got banned, so I don't really know how bad it is. I mean, let's read the effect. During either player's turn, you can target one pendulum monster in your monster zone and one monster your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can only use the effect of Corinne once per turn, can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. I mean, that's good. It's a free bounce, effectively, because you can just rescale your pendulum. I don't know if that plays more into the deck, but I'll be interested to see if this is enough to actually get Magispector off the ground, because it seems like a cool deck. Then we have Chicken Game. I think with Chicken Game what happens is you generally activate it, pay 1,000, draw a card, and then just activate another field spell. It could be interesting to see how this gets played with like the new Ancient Gears. Just set this on top of Gear Town, pop it, get whatever, and then activate Chicken Game, pay 1,000, draw. And then because your life points are low, because you paid 1,000, you don't take any damage. So it's kind of interesting. I think at 1 it's fine. I don't see that being too bad. I mean, I don't know how that works with, like, you know, there's hope for escape and things like that. I don't think that's gonna make Exodia tier 1 or anything. So I think 1 is probably okay, but again, I wasn't playing the game when Chicken Game got banned, so yeah, I'm not too sure. Anti-Spell Fragrance to 1, I think this is really good. I think Anti-Spell Fragrance is, it's kind of like Imperial Order, realistically, because you just activate it and it turns off spell cards for your opponent for that turn. Obviously, yeah, after that turn, you know, they can set them and activate them or whatever, but yeah, it's really oppressive. So I see this kind of like going the way of the other floodgates. It's a spell card floodgate. Let's put it to 1. Interesting that realistically, that's the only card that didn't come back from being banned, actually, that's gone to 1. So we got 5 cards being unbanned, which is good. Like, clean the gaff off the banned list, so that is a good thing. But they only thought anti-spell was worth limiting, so okay. Alright, let's go to semi-limited, old Malicious's house. So we got Armageddon Knight, interesting. So an extra copy of Armageddon Knight, because that was limited, which, okay. And then Pearly Delicious Memory. So both of these cards have gone from limited to semi-limited. Armageddon Knight, I think it'll be interesting. Like, Armageddon Knight is one of those cards that just has a lot of playability in a lot of decks. But principally, my mind goes to Orcust, because I played that deck a lot this previous format, and obviously a second Armageddon Knight is pretty handy. But there's a lot of like dark and warrior decks out there, so yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I think probably because of how it's small enough. Like, it's not like Dark Grapple where it's a 17 body, it's a 14 body, and it is just a straight up dump, I think it could be okay, but I'm not aware of what else it could break, so watch this space. Pearly Delicious Memory, I think this is fine, but this was limited as well, and they've brought this back to 2. I mean, Pearly actually hasn't really done much. I mean, what has done much with Fire being so oppressive, but this just gives Pearly a little bit of a boost, and yeah, I'm fine with that. 2 is fine. What? Malicious is meant to be at 2. It's meant to be his house. Okay, 3 Malicious. 3 Harp Horror, Speedroid Terratop, Sky Striker Mobilize, Engage. So, okay, Malicious at 3. What do I think about that? Well, obviously it's a boost to heroes. Gives them more ability to link climb, but it's also kind of a boost to like Tier, because Tier was playing a Destiny Hero package, so this gives them an extra body as well. This is a card that's just, I guess maybe now Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been power crept enough where Malicious at 3 is okay, but this is a card that seems to just go back and forth. Konami always 3-2, 3-2. It's a tricky one. It's always kind of had a sweet spot at 2. Anytime it comes back to 3, it never seems to last too long, but yeah, let's see, because it might be okay at 3. We'll just have to watch the space. Harp Horror, this is fine. Like, I played Abyssal Horus Orchest and Horus Orchest a lot this format, and having 1 Harp Horror sucked. Like, the deck, it wasn't that good. And then with only 1 Harp Horror, as soon as your Harp Horror gets bestial, the deck is kind of done. So this just gives you more options at that same card, and opening Harp Horror is pretty good. So yeah, it's going to be a bit better. I mean, the deck does lose the Link Karibo for the Gersu play, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, okay, I could see that. So Harp Horror, so 2 more Harp Horrors and another Armageddon Knight. Orchest kind of getting a decent boost. Then we got Terratop. This hasn't really done anything coming back to 2. But again, Fire has kind of been too oppressive for anything to do that. But I know there were some Kashtira builds that were playing Speedroids. Honestly, it doesn't seem that crazy of a card in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! So I think coming back to 3 is, yeah, it's kind of fine. It'll be interesting to see if it actually gets a bit more representation at 3. Just adds a bit more consistency. I think you just play 3 Terratop, 1 Takatomborg, or do you play 3-3? I can't remember. But yeah, I'm kind of fine with that. And then Engage. This is interesting because there is more Sky Striker support coming out in, what is it coming out in? The Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge, I think it is. That's coming out in July. I'm pretty sure that's where we're getting the exclusive promos from Japan with like Spectra and the other one that I can't remember the name of right now. So this, I guess, is kind of a bit more grunt for that, which makes sense, right? If that's coming out in 2 months, chances are we won't have another list before then. So this is kind of like where they can give Sky Striker a bit of a boost in preparation to help sell the new cards. What they should have done probably with Magispector Unicorn Corinne, but okay. Yeah, so that's the list. That is a crazy list. Obviously no direct hits to Fire, which is kind of disappointing. Link Karibo being banned is like, well, yeah. But yeah, there's nothing really else on here that is much of a hit to them. I guess you could argue like Anti-Spell and Summon Limit are hits to like the side deck. Baron is, I guess, a hit to the extra deck for them, but it's a hit to the extra deck for virtually everyone. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I think Fire is still very strong. I think Fire King Snake Eye will probably start to be played a bit more now that Pure Snake Eye has lost their Link Karibo shenanigans. But yeah, that is the list. So guys, let me know what you think of these changes down in the comments below, because there are some big changes here, and maybe not so big depending on what you were expecting. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts, and that'll do us for this ban list review. I'll see you in the next video.